Yeah, thank you for this introduction of this topic. And I have a question about this false matrix that you were talking about, that it's separated from the one and from God consciousness. But how is this possible when all that is God? How is it possible that dark could separate? I know that a lot of people also say it's all also the false matrix is God likely. They just need longer to understand. But the way you describe it, it makes more sense for me, that it's really something which is outside of the godlike consciousness state.
Yeah. It's a very important question that you've asked. How is this possible? Because everything is God. And the answer is, technically it's not possible, but the illusion is possible. The illusion of separation, the illusion of I can't remember who I am as an infinite being. That's an illusion. And what the false matrix is an illusion. But the illusion has become so real to the mind. The mind keeps making the false real. It keeps making the illusion real. So what we have is the false matrix is an illusion. The truth is that we are still a part of God. The truth is we can only ever be a part of God, but we must realize that truth within us in order to break out of the prison of illusion, the prison of the false matrix and what it programmed us to be, which is small and contained. So from a technical standpoint, there is no hijacking. From a very big technical truth perspective, we are still part of God consciousness. It's just that we can't feel it. We're behaving as a society, not necessarily as an individual, but as a society, we're behaving with depravity and with darkness and with hatred and with judgment. And this is a result of believing the illusion that we are separate. And the moment we believe the illusion, we perpetuate the false matrix. This is very important to understand.
Yes.
Remember, those beings of darkness, they can't create. We are the creators. So what this means is we're creating the false matrix.
Yes.
we are keeping
this artificial illusion. So
exactly.
Yeah, okay, now from this standpoint, I can comprehend everything. Right. Yeah. Right. We are the creators, and we just need to see through this manipulation that we are held from these beings of darkness like slaves.
Yeah, absolutely. So we perpetuate our own slavery, we perpetuate our own misery, the more we buy into the idea of our separation from God, our separation from our truth. And that is why, remember I said in the beginning, the beings of darkness needed a place to live. It's kind of like they needed a house, so to speak. So they created the false matrix. And if you think about it, well, what was our purpose? Like, if they could do that, if they could take a planet, why did they need human beings to populate that planet? Because we are the fuel that they use to create and maintain their world. Without us, it falls apart instantly. Therefore, they're highly dependent on us. And if we realized our power, and if we realized that we are therefore the perpetuators, those that continue the false matrix is us. If we remember that, then we see our power. And that's why I said earlier, it's so important to not fight against the system, but instead to be the solution, to be the light, to be the remedy within, be the love, be the truth. Because truth does more than your arms ever could. Truth says more than your words ever could.
Yes, that all makes very much sense. Yeah. So it's our job now, going back to the real earth, which is called the new earth. And the way we do this is opening to our divinity. What's the challenge for us opening to divinity?
There are many. One of the biggest challenges for humanity is this illusion that they believe so fervently. You know, I put a video up on TikTok the other day. I think it was actually about, yes, it was about timelines. And I was just sharing about one timeline splitting off and another timeline moving on into 5D. And this guy writes a comment and he says, none of this is provable. If you can't show me this and you can't prove it, then it's not real. And if it's not real, you're talking nonsense. And my mind kind of went, because I thought that right there, that is an example of how somebody perpetuates the false matrix. That is the limitation of intellect. If I can't see it, it's not real. So people say, I can't see God, therefore it's not real. I can't see love, therefore it's not real. You can't prove your love for me. You can't prove your connection to God. So it's not real. So what a lot of people have is a hope. Instead of a connection to divinity, what a lot of them have is hope. I hope that God loves me. I hope I love God. They call this faith. They call it by many different names. But what I want each individual to have is not hope or faith, but a true connection to their divinity that bypasses the eyes, bypasses the brain, and becomes a lived experience in the body. So one of the biggest challenges we face is that people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to not analyze and think and instead experience and be with and feel and connect to. That is how we escape the false matrix. We stop thinking ourselves into creation and we stop thinking from that linear perspective of who God is and who we are. Instead, we start feeling, we escape the brain and we feel the energetic oneness and the energetic connection. Yes. So I think the greatest challenge is our belief in the illusion of separation. And that can only be overcome and mastered by connection to divinity. So when people say to me, you know, what is spirituality actually about? Like, give me the cheats code. You know, everybody wants a quick answer. Give me the cheats code or the quick answer. You know, what is this all about? And what is enlightenment? What do I have to do to become enlightened? You can tell I spend a lot of time on social media, so I'm very familiar with the way that people in the so-called modern world think. They want the cheat code for everything. They want enlightenment in 5 minutes. And it's a common question I get. And when I answer the question, people look at me like, what does that mean? And yet what I'm answering is so simple. When they ask, what is the secret to spirituality and life and enlightenment? The answer is connection, presence, and stillness. 3 words: connection, presence, stillness. Can you connect? And can you be still with what you are connecting to? And above all else, can you be not present? Because to be present means I'm looking at my watch and I'm looking at the time and now I'm in the present time. No. I want you to go beyond present and I want you to go into presence, to be in the presence, the energetic field, the presence, which happens in the now, but it's a space beyond time. Present is time. Presence is an energy. Presence, connection, stillness. In any order. Stillness, connection, presence. Doesn't matter. Those are our lifelines back home. Back home. They lead us back to the organic truth of who we are. And those things, you cannot think your way into presence. You cannot think your way into connection. You cannot think your way into stillness. You can only be still, be connected, be in presence. So if we understand the challenge, okay, the biggest challenge we face is this, the mind, the intellect, the trap, then we've got to go somewhere else out of the mind in order to access our divinity and therefore our pathway back home.
It's a reality playground that we are in, and by understanding that we are not this body, that we are universal beings with infinite consciousness, we go in this multidimensional state, And I think that what you just said, go into presence, then we also go over this 3D way of thinking or 3D consciousness, that timelines are linear, everything already happened. It's just our perception to it, right?
And that's why people can't understand timelines, because they're stuck here. And timelines don't really make sense. They don't really. Because what we're saying about timelines is there are so many of them. They all run parallel to each other, meaning they're all occurring at the same time. They all occupy the same space. I mean, for a very logical, linear thinker, that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Yet, many of us, and many of your listeners, no doubt, would have had experiences of showing up in another timeline where, for example, a picture on a wall was in a different place, or a pair of shoes that they put there is suddenly over there, or something crazy has happened, whether we call it the Mandela effect, or you've put your keys on your table, but now they're in your bedroom. We have these constant shifts through timelines. But for the most part, because they don't make sense, we dismiss them. Because we can't logically understand it, we just ignore it. That's how we've been taught to cope with things that we can't make sense of. We just ignore it. We just pretend it's not real then. You know, and that's part of the programming of the false matrix. And it's why the false matrix needed to keep humanity bound and locked into this prison of their intellects. Because if you're sitting in here, things like timelines, you can't make sense of them. Therefore, you'll just ignore them. You won't even delve into that territory.
How important is it to live more from the heart in order to be able to experience this multi-dimensional state of being? Is this also a key?
It is. But here's the thing.